Good afternoon and welcome to my show. I'm Shareen Ellahi on Ramadan Radio, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, Harper Gill, who will be sharing a discussion with me about being the best version of yourself. Okay, and let's bring Harper in. Afternoon, Harper. How are you?
I'm good, Shareen. How are you?
Not too bad. You're very welcome. Now, Harper, we've known each other for a number of years, haven't we?
Yes, we have. Yeah, quite a few years, I think. How long has it been?
What, 3-4 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
4 or 5 years, yeah.
All right. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you come from, and how you are the person that you are today?
Okay. Well, I'm originally from Derby, and I moved to Wolverhampton nearly 7 years ago when I got married. What more do you want to know? I own a members club in Wolverhampton, and it's a place to bring like-minded people into one space. And that's me.
Okay, so the reason I've asked you on today is because that's not all there is to you, is there?
No. I hate talking about myself, but I'm here anyway.
So what I really like about you is the fact that you're really real. You've been on such a journey in terms of bringing your business to where it is today.
Yeah.
You're really true to yourself.
Yeah.
There's no airs and graces. What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And what I really like about your journey is that it hasn't necessarily been a smooth one.
No.
But you've handled it so well.
Yeah. I mean, it's never smooth sailing, ever. And I think, look, my story is, I don't like to play the victim, but I did have a tough childhood and a tough upbringing. I guess I got resilient through my personal experience, and persevering through any difficult challenge that I do face. I just keep on going, I guess.
Fantastic. We talked a lot about that last week. We talked about how, when the upbringing that we've had, especially coming from immigrant parents, has built us the people that we are.
Exactly.
And, but along with that, you carry lots of things like guilt, and you carry worry, and you carry your own concerns or your lack of confidence. But it's about how do we kind of overcome that to be the better versions of ourselves. And you've just said that, actually. You've just really kind of shared that point. But today, let's talk about being the best version of yourself, because you've got bags of experience of that, haven't you?
Yeah.
You're so good at sort of reflecting on where you are as a person, where you want to be, and how to get there. So, in prep for the show, what I've done is I've looked at some top tips and hints on how to be the best version of yourself.
Okay.
So should we kick off?
Go on.
Right. Number one, just show up. That's the first step, isn't it?
Totally.
Because unless you actually join the race or the proverbial race, you're never going to get anywhere. And I'll give you an example. So a couple of years ago, after I'd had my kids, I'd said to my husband, we both enjoyed running, and I'd said, I really want to do a marathon. Will you support me?
I remember you telling me about this, actually. I really do. And you were like, I'm sure you must have said to me, come on, join. And I was like, are you having a laugh? Have you seen the state of me? So, tell me about that. Because I know you, I have always seen you kind of being fit and whatnot, but I'm not that way inclined, generally speaking. But now that you've mentioned that, since this lockdown, I'll tell you something. I've actually been focusing on my health. And never in a million years did I think I could even run 5K. Today, I clocked that because I've been in training. So I'm really super proud of myself.
And did you find that it's more of a mental battle?
100%.
Okay.
100%, yeah, for sure.
Well, that's where I was a couple of years ago. And I'd said to my husband, I said, look, I really want to run a marathon. Will you help me? Will you support me? Let's sign up for the London Marathon. It's going to be epic. It's one of the world's greatest marathons. Let's enter the London Marathon. For anybody that doesn't know, the London Marathon is a ballot. So you fill in the form, everyone gets entered, and they have thousands upon thousands of entries, and then they pick out, however many. So, and it is hugely popular. So we both entered. And then when results day came, I didn't get it. He did.
Oh, really? Oh, my God.
And he doesn't even like running. So then he prepared, incredibly well. He ran the London Marathon. So the year after, I thought, right, I'm going to enter again. And I didn't get it again. So I thought, right, well, how can I make this work? And I can either give up my dream of being able to run a marathon, or I can do something about it. And I thought, well, where can I guarantee a place? Dubai. If you ever want to run a marathon,
Okay. Do they just
go to
accept
Dubai.
anyone?
Anyone.
Right.
Pay.
Oh, right. Okay.
And there are a couple of perks of Dubai. It's a flat race, so there's no hills. You
Okay.
can't stand a hill.
Yeah.
And
It's difficult.
It's warm. I was just like,
Yeah.
I don't want to run.
But that makes it tougher though. When it's warm, I find that when it's really hot, I do struggle. But when there's a bit of a breeze in the air, it's much easier to glide through. I feel.
Well, the other great thing about Dubai is they do it in January. It's a little bit cooler, and you start really early in the morning.
Right. Okay.
The atmosphere is
Yeah,
incredible.
I bet.
So I signed up for the Dubai Marathon, and then I had this great plan of I'm going to train every day. I'm going to do this. I had a training plan. I'd spent a good couple of days on Pinterest looking for all the things, as you do. You know, whenever you start a project and you just overplan it.
Yeah, 100%.
So overplanned it to the nth degree. Then thought, oh yeah, I'll run hill sprints on a Monday, and I'll do fartleks on a Tuesday, and I'll do this, and I'll do speed work on a Thursday. Did nothing. You know, I'd done a couple of longer runs, and then my husband was just like, oh, you know, you should kind of run a little bit more now.
Yeah.
And you know, with his prompting, got sort of 6 miles, 7 miles, 8 miles. The most I'd ever got to was 14 miles.
Wow.
But that's a slow 14, so don't ever think I was sprinting. Like that did take me a couple of hours. So I did a very slow 14 miles. And then a week later, I had to fly out to Dubai. So I just thought, right, what am I going to do? I'm going to Dubai anyway. I was going with a friend, and, you know, we were making an adventure of it. Do I still go to the race? And I thought, well, I haven't really trained. Do I want to do this? I haven't trained to the best of my ability. Yeah, sure, I'll lose a little bit of my entry money. Do I want to do it? So I kind of went, and I was still in two minds.
Oh, yeah.
Got to Dubai, and I thought, well, you know, I'm here now. My sister, who lives in Dubai, had said to me, she said, you know, if you don't do it, like, nobody will know. You know that, right?
But this is it. You know, my husband has been helping me train, and the odd occasion I've been going on my own, and he's like, "Can I trust you?" I said, "Well, if I'm going to cheat, I'm going to be cheating myself." You know, so as much as other people wouldn't know, you are going to be cheating yourself. So you may as well just turn up and do it.
Exactly. That's where I was. So I thought, right, I'm just going to have to do it. So you have to do your last run 2 or 3 days before. Went and started doing, and you know, it's your cool down run. So I did that. As soon as I started running, I felt something in my knee. And I thought, oh no, what, you know, this is it now. This might not happen. And I thought, right, well, what can I do? So went to, I thought, well, I know what I need to do. I need to sort of exercise. I need to stretch it. I need to get a medicine ball, etc. Very lucky to have a personal trainer friend in the UK. Messaged him, and I said, well, you know, what do I do, etc. And he said, you know, these are the things that you need to do. So I went and found a gym. Luckily, found somebody who was not only a physio, but he was also somebody that did a lot of rehab work.
Okay.
And then he just talked me through it. And he had run the Dubai Marathon the year before. So he talked me through it. He's like, right, this is how it goes. He goes, you do one loop. That loop is 5K.
Right.
Okay. So once you've done that loop, you will be warmed up.
Okay.
So once you're warmed up, you will know then if this injury is going to stop you or whether your body just needs to warm up.
Okay.
Right. Once you've done that, he goes, you'll be back at the start line, decide whether you want to carry on. And he goes, but if you're feeling good, then just keep going. Don't
And did
stop.
you?
Of course. Yeah. So did that first loop and loved it. Because you start really early in the morning, right? So you have to get there like 5 o'clock in the morning. The sun's rising, the atmosphere is incredible, and the place is just packed with people. Everyone's in a good vibe, and you know.
I think that's definitely on my bucket list.
Do
next,
it. And they do a 10K version as well.
Oh, I don't know about that. Don't know about that.
January is a brilliant time to go. Corona will be over by then. I definitely recommend
We hope.
it. So the point I'm trying to make is I did it. There were moments when I absolutely hated it. That second half of that run, you are going down Sheikh Zayed Road, it's flat as a pancake. And the first 10 minutes, you're like, oh, there's a beautiful mosque, there's a sunrise, oh, there's this, there's that. Next 20 minutes, you're like, another mosque, another building, another person. Why is that man stopped and he's now eating McDonald's in the middle of his run? That happened.
Oh, my God.
But you kind of get through that mental point where you're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Right? And you have to kind of go, right, I showed up.
Yeah.
And I did it. I started so I could finish.
Yeah.
So it's about having that approach. Okay. So I think part of being true to yourself and being the best version of yourself is show up.
True.
Okay. Next one, start from the beginning. You don't just happen to stumble upon the best version of yourself, do you?
No.
You're not who you are because you were just born that way.
No, absolutely not.
It's a journey. It's an experience. It's all the things that have happened to you and around you that have formed you as a person. So you've got to start at the beginning. You've got to realise that to get to your end goal of where you want to be as a person, it's going to be lots of smaller steps along the way.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that I would probably vouch for, because I've done it myself. And I'll give you an example, actually, and I'll take it back to my run. I've been trying to run this 5K, and I've had to slowly, gradually build towards that way. And today I clocked that, and I've started since lockdown, which would have been beginning of April. The other day, I think it was last week, my sister-in-law came with me, and she was running with me also, but she was steps ahead of me, you know. And I was trying to keep up, you know, I was really trying to keep up, but I realised I can't keep up. My legs aren't stronger than her, like strong as hers. She's way more fitter than me. I'm starting out. I'm such an amateur level in comparison to her. And I was trying to keep up. But I feel like sometimes for me, that doesn't work. Competition doesn't necessarily always work for me. I have to be my blinkers on, at my own pace, and gradually work towards that pace to the goal that I want to get to. And if it means taking baby steps, that's exactly how I work.
That's completely true. And I like the way that you said that. By putting your blinkers on, you focus, don't you? You hyper focus and you say, right, how am I going to get there? Okay. The next part of being the best version of yourself is, and this is a really important one, especially for a lot of the people that are probably listening, is recognize the best version of yourself. It should be your vision, not somebody else's vision for 100%, you.
Yeah, for sure.
And the reason I've touched on that is because your version of success for your business, Harper, is very different to what other people think it could and couldn't be.
Yeah.
And you've stuck to your vision, haven't you?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, look, when we first opened the members club, I'm sure people were like, what is this? What does that even mean? People didn't understand the concept. And so I did start doubting myself and did question whether we did the right thing. You know, I'd put my all into it. I had my own vision. And I'm not going to lie, we've been on the brinks. You know, I've literally been on my knees practically at times. But you know what? I kept persevering. And I've now finally managed to turn a corner. But slowly, what you'll find, the jigsaw pieces are just kind of joining together. And before you know it, your vision is starting to come alive. So you have to ignore people sometimes, but don't kind of totally ignore them neither, because you do have to adapt. That's the bit of advice I would give on that, in that sense, where it's important to stick to what you believe in. If you've got that vision, you genuinely believe that this could work, you've got to go for it.
I think in terms of that, like for me, I think my experience is my siblings are all brilliant at maths, right? My dad's great at maths. My siblings are brilliant. They're all in finance. They work in banking. That's their mindset. That's the way that they work. I'm awful.
Yeah.
Like, my husband's favourite game is to give me a times table and expect me to know the answer.
I wouldn't know it. I would need a calculator myself.
He's like 8 times 5. You know, you just get that look of, I don't know.
Yeah. It's been put on the spot sometimes, isn't it, really?
So I'm not great at what everybody else is great at, my siblings. Now, my dad recognised that, and he knew my strength is in different areas. He knew that I'm great at English.
Yeah.
I'm great at other aspects of academia, and that's what he pushed and that's what he moulded. If he had the same vision for all of us and he planted that on me and said, you're going to be good at maths and you're going to be the same as everybody else, and you're going to be, my vision for you is for you to go into finance. I want you to be an accountant, or I want you to work in the stock market. That would have been his vision, his goal for me. That wouldn't have worked with me.
No, absolutely not.
I would have struggled. I would have hated it. And a lot of people have that, don't they?
Yeah.
They kind of get moulded into careers that they don't want.
Exactly. And they feel that that's what they should do. And then I've spoken to so many people where they're on good money. They've got this perfect career for the according to the family and society, but actually they don't really enjoy what they do. And they're always at a crossroad whether to kind of make that change or make that jump, but sometimes they just don't. And I feel that's really, really sad, because you're not doing what you set out. Well, you're not doing what you wanted to do. You've set out doing something else for somebody else, and now you're at a crossroad. And I just think it's a big shame, really.
It is. And I think part of being true to yourself is following your passion, what that means.
That's right.
That can be tricky though, can't it? Especially in our community.
It can be, yeah. And my advice on that would be, one of the best things that I ever did was remove myself from the community. Although they've got so many good points in so many ways, I left my past behind and I left my community behind. You form a new community of like-minded people, whatever that may look like. That's what you need to find.
So that worked for you, but in terms of for some of our listeners, when you are part of a community and you work within that, it might not not be as easy to kind of leave that behind. But I think in terms of our community, it might be a case of paying attention to who's in your circle.
That's right.
Looking at people who are there to support you and making sure that the people that are around you, the other women, the other men, the other people that are around you are there to build you up.
Exactly. Elevating you, empowering you. Those people who tell you that you can't do it are bringing this negative energy. You have to remove them, because you won't be able to progress any further, because they'll keep holding you back.
That's very true. And I think it's difficult because people that are around you, you have to sometimes stop and think and say, are they there for me, or are they there to serve a purpose to make themselves feel better? And when you get a lot of sort of, and I feel awful for generalizing, but when you get sort of young girls together, it becomes a little bit competitive. I think as women, we've got to move away from that.
For sure.
And be there to support each other and celebrate each other's success, as opposed to sort of feeling as though, because just because someone else is doing well doesn't mean you're any less of a person.
Exactly. But people start to kind of, I think sometimes, they kind of, I don't know, they kind of like judge by materialistic things. So if that person's doing well because they've got, I don't know, a fancy car or a fancy handbag, or that must mean that they're doing well. But it depends how you judge your success, and I think that's what it comes down to, really, doesn't it?
That's a really important point. We'll come back to that later, actually. That's a really, really important point. Now, the next one is stop looking for secret tricks, in terms of there are no shortcuts out there to success.
Absolutely not. You got to throw yourself in it, and you're gonna fall. You're gonna fall again and again and again. But along that journey, you are gonna learn the lessons. So you'll start falling less, I guess. You'll make less mistakes. These are lessons. These are teachings. I wouldn't call them failures as such, but they're teachings that go with you a long way, I guess.
But you're saying that you do fall and you rise again. I guess each time you learn what's your strength, don't you?
That's right, exactly.
And the fact is you're resilient and you get back up and you try again and you think, right, that didn't kind of work for me.
Yeah.
But then in the same way, like I've done it where, for instance, like I've gone for job interviews. I took a career break from teaching to raise my girls. And then afterwards I thought, I'm going to step straight back into it. I'm an outstanding teacher and I've always been great and I've got great references and I worked in schools and, I was always brilliant. I'm going to go straight back into it. And I wouldn't even get shortlisted when I'd applied.
Really?
And that knock to your confidence is just another level of, because you think, well, that's not right. That's, it's a sense of injustice. But it's about sort of saying, right, okay, my position right now is where I am. Like, I can't change that.
Yeah.
There's no fast track.
No.
I'm just going to have to build it back up. Right, I know what my strengths are. Right now, I know what my weakness is. It's this gap on my CV. How am I going to go about that? Right, what can I do to better that? What can I do to improve that? How can I use research? How can I use the network I've got of people to improve myself and develop myself? And that's where it is. There's no secret tricks to success or being a better person. It's just about living life and being true to yourself.
Yeah, totally agree.
Okay. I went to see Paul McKenna a few months ago.
I saw that on your Instagram.
And he was incredible because a lot of what he talked about was about healing and about dealing with the things that happen to yourself and visualizing your success. A big part of his speech was about visualizing your success and looked at knowing what you want to be, what it's going to look like, and how you're going to get there. Yeah. Because in your mind, if you can visualize the perfect version of, I'm not going to say the word perfect, but if you visualize the ideal scenario, the ideal way that you want things to look, how you want it to be, and then you can start kind of working backwards and going, right, okay, so to do that, I need to get that done. How am I going to get that done? Let's go back a bit. How is that going to happen? How does that impact? And then you always sort of work backwards, don't you? And you go, right, okay, how am I going to do that? How am I going to fulfill that? And then the next thing that I think is really important, part of visualizing your success, is aiming for greatness, not perfection.
For sure.
Because you beat yourself up, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. And you've just got to...
I think, when you have this perfect vision in your mind of what you want it to be, and sometimes you kind of build it up so much that you think, I'm never going to get there. There's no point. And you lose morale, don't you?
For sure. And I think the point I was going to make there is, and I can get sometimes, well, I have done in the past where I've got really hooked on this straight journey that I need to follow this path, and that's the way it's going to work, and that's how I'm going to get there. But the fact of the matter is, the path isn't, it's not straight. It's got lots of bends and it's got lots of curves. And the minute you accept that, the easier the journey becomes.
That's so true. That's so true. And I think, in terms of like visualizing your goals, what you're saying is right. Look at all the bends and the curves that you've got in that, but at the same time, don't take your eye off the ball.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you visualize what you would like your life to be, and that doesn't necessarily have to be in education or anything else. That could be whether you run a small business. Over the last month, I've seen so many people say on Instagram that have started like small businesses, whether they're making something, whether it's food related, whether it's fragrances, whether it's candles, so many little home businesses. And you can tell that was somebody's dream.
Yeah.
Somebody wanted to do that and she's made that happen.
Yeah.
She thought, right, how can I be a little bit more financially independent? What skills do I have? How can I do that? And that person has gone and done all those things to make that happen. And she's still on her journey.
Yeah.
But when you start looking at that, she visualized where she wanted to be. She took the necessary steps to do that. But part of visualizing that is don't relax it. Don't kind of put it in your mind and think, yeah, that's how it's going to look. And then kind of become a little bit too comfortable feeling like you're already there. You can't take your foot off the pedal. You keep going constantly, don't you? You chip away at your success.
For sure. And I think sometimes you've got to surround yourself around people who are kind of working towards that as well. Like for me, for instance, my goalpost changes every time when I get to a certain goal. So my mind doesn't relax and it does keep me driven. But I guess if I get to a point where I've reached my goal and I think, right, okay, that's it, I've done it now, and I relax, that's where I'll be. I'll probably be there. But I know every time for me, my goalpost changes.
Okay, I like that actually. It's true because, but then part of that is the constant reflection upon yourself, isn't it? And just constant looking at where you are.
Well, when you achieve a certain something, you're like, okay, well, I've achieved this. I never thought I could do that back then. And so then you think, well, actually, let me go a bit further. Let me see what else I can achieve. And I think that's how I work.
So that is a big part of that is the growth mindset. It's the idea that I might not be able to do that yet.
Yeah.
But I'm going to learn how to do that. And
Exactly.
one day I will be able to do that. And I think that's a huge part of being successful. As a teacher, we teach that a lot in schools. We teach a growth mindset, which is the idea that, so there's children that have like a fixed mindset that they think intelligence and skill and talent, you're born with it.
Yeah.
And there's children, or there's a way of thinking, which is a growth mindset that actually you can learn anything.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be when you're growing up. You can be skilled and learn anything. You just have to accept the fact that you might not know it, but you will know it eventually. And if you have a growth mindset, you are going to be more successful because you're able to kind of go, I don't know it, but I can go on the internet and I can find out, or I can learn to do this, or I can kind of go and do, X, Y, and Z. And that growth mindset is probably going to be the key to your success, because if you tell yourself, well, I'm not good at doing that, so there's no point.
I've got a quote here.
Go on.
And I hope I get it right. The minute you stop learning, the minute you start living.
Okay, yeah.
Is my little motto. Because it doesn't matter what age you get to and whatever you achieve and whatever, wherever you get to, you consistently learn, whether you're 50, whether you're in your 20s, whether you're in your 30s, whether you're 60. And if you have that mindset, I think that you'll always stay grounded and you'll push for your maximum potential in success and growth.
Because you've learned an incredible amount from your business. And when you went to university, like, you didn't do business at uni, did you?
No, I did a salon management. It was a HND.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was young, I just kind of went with it. I mean, when I did that degree at that course, I didn't even go into hairdressing. I went into property. I was a lettings agent for so long.
Yeah.
And then I was in recruitment, did some business development. Then I got back into hair and I thought, well, where can I start? And that's when I started my first business, and we started out in Nottingham. So that's how my journey began.
And what I really like about that is the fact that it wasn't always a straight, I did a degree and then I did this job and it just, you sailed away and it was happily ever after. You went and you tried so many different things that built you as a person.
But you know what that did for me? It really built me as a character and as a person. I've worked from the age of 16 and I've worked in cold calling centres. I've worked. I remember finishing school at 3:30 and 5 o'clock. My shift started at, I can't remember what it's called. Stay Bright Windows, it was called. And I remember we had a phone book there, and we'd call people and try and sell them these windows and whatnot. And then I just progressed from. Like I say, for me, I even worked in a factory, Thornton's chocolate factory. I remember that, packing chocolates. I mean, it was, it's a dream, but actually it can get really sickly from a supermarket. I worked in every single field practically, but that built me as a person, as my character.
Fantastic. Right. We'll be very soon going to an ad break. If you want to join into the conversation and talk to us about what makes you feel empowered, what makes you feel whole as a person, you can WhatsApp 0744 0420 into the studio and you can join in with us. After the break, we'll be talking about being kind to your mind. We'll talk about recognising the opportunities at hand, accepting help from others, and probably talking in depth about the downfalls of social media as well as the benefits. So don't go anywhere. Grab yourself a pen and paper, jot down the details, or go on the website and drop us a live message from there. As I said, I'm in the studio with Harper if you've got any questions. Right, and welcome back to my show. I'm Shareen Ellahi, and in the studio today we have
Harper Gill.
And today we are discussing how to be the best version of yourself. We've been talking a lot about our experiences, some of the things that we've learned as being empowered women. Do you feel empowered?
I guess so, yeah.
What does that mean for you? What does being empowered mean?
I feel like that's a trick question now.
Have a think about it. I'll come back to that one. Okay. For me, I was talking to a few other women about this, and we were talking about sort of empowerment. And for me, I guess empowerment is choices. It's having my own set of choices.
Yeah.
But then attached to that is a set of principles. So I make my choices within those principles and what's important to me, what's important in terms of my experience of growing up as a British Asian woman in a community, within a family. And it's sort of having the opportunity to make those informed choices. That for me is what empowerment is. If I choose to, that's a good one, isn't it? You gave me that look. Yeah, I like that. It's about being, the best version of you and having the ability to reflect on where you are and how, what you want and what you want more from life. I started off my career as a primary school teacher. Loved it. I've always have been. And through and through, I'll always be a teacher. I took a break from it when I had my daughters. And then I started kind of going down the route of, I love interior design. Yeah. I really like interior decor. But there was just a big part of me that just was this doubt. It was what if I fail? What if I'm no good at it? What if, I'm going to look silly if people are going to judge me? I'm going to look bad if people, kind of think, oh, what's she doing? So I kind of buried it and I found every excuse not to do it. So I'd found a course and I thought I wanted to do this course. It was in the evenings and it kind of clashed with my husband's schedule. He ran on a Tuesday night. My course was on a Tuesday night. So I found that as an opportunity to go, I'm not going to do it. And it was my mum who'd said, no, I'll come watch the kids. Yeah. Like, no, go and do it. Why would you not?
I think sometimes you just need that one person just to give you that push to say, yeah, you've got this. That's all it takes. And your doubt starts to, especially if it's the right person, you start to think, oh, maybe I will give it a go, So I think sometimes you just need that one person to give you that push. It's really important.
That's so true. And so going on from, going and doing this course, I thought, right, the natural thing now is to kind of get, build a bit of a brand. And you're incredible at that. You've really got a vision for where you want your brand to be. And you do that so well, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, we're not trying to just run a business, but it's running a brand. And that can be difficult sometimes because, well, sometimes you think, well, how's that going to look on, what kind of reflection will that give to the brand? oh no, we can't do this because it's going to have a negative impact on the brand, or this sometimes you kind of don't even do anything because you think it's going to impact the brand. But does that make sense? It can hold you back sometimes, but actually in the long run, if you can build yourself a brand, it can go a long way.
So you're talking about a business brand, but you also have a personal brand, don't you?
Yeah, I guess so.
As a person.
Well, I always feel like you're a reflection or an extension of your brand generally as a person. So I have this vision, I have these ideas. I implement them into my business. So that's the only way I feel like I can be true to myself and then implement it into my business. If I don't believe in something, I can't deliver that. That's just the way I work.
I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and she works in a very male-dominated industry. And what she does is she's really true to herself. You know, she's very honest. She's very to the point. And she always says, like, when you talk about other women, about other people, what are you telling people about yourself in terms of what are you showing as a brand? Is that what you want to portray? Do you want to portray somebody who talks about somebody? Do you want to portray yourself as the person, you know, that isn't there to support somebody else, or, you know, that can't be trusted to either keep a secret or, you know, to kind of build somebody up? Is that what you want to do? And that really made me think, because I thought, actually, as a brand, what do I want? As a personal brand, what do I want people to see me as?
Yeah.
You know, and what I'd want somebody to see me first and foremost, you know, as an advocate for female education, as somebody who's a good mother. I'd want to be, you know, a great friend, somebody that is there for other women and men, and just to kind of say, you know what, I can see that potential in you, and to build people up. And, you know, and on the other side of it, like my personal goals, you know, I want my personal brand to say, I go for that. You know, I fulfill what I set out to achieve. I'm ambitious. You know, I'm resilient. I make things happen. I'm true to myself. You know, I'm honest. I'm reliable. Those are all part of my personal brand.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's really important to stay true to myself. I like to always try things that I may find difficult initially. I like a good challenge. That's part of my personality. I'm a risk taker, and I always do that. So whether it's in my personal or my kind of business, you know, career or whatever it is, I do always tend to kind of like to push the boundaries.
So part of our discussion today has been about being, you know, the best version of yourself. A big part of that is not to sweat the detail, in terms of if you cherry pick and if you focus on every little thing that goes right, or getting every little thing right or wrong, you're never going to see the bigger picture, are you?
No.
And you know that from first-hand experience in terms of your, you know, your position in business.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I can be a stickler because I do aim for perfection as well. And I am told, look, it's not going to roll out if everything has to be perfect. And it's frustrating for me because I do have to kind of overlook certain things, especially when we were building the project initially, and we had you know, kind of a bit of work done to the venue, and I would pinpoint at every little bit, and everyone was like, you're not going to open if this is the way you're going to behave. So I had to kind of overlook certain things. So it's finding that balance as well, isn't it?
That's very true, yeah. And I think not beating yourself up over it, just being kind to your mind and kind of going, right, I'm not where I want to be right now,
exactly,
but I'm on a journey, I'm getting there.
Yeah, totally.
And I think, you know, that internal voice in your head, training that to be positive, because there's so, you know, I don't think ever we've had such a focus on mental health as we do now in terms of society. And a part of that, I guess, is social media has a big part to play in that. But in terms of mental health and, you know, passing on information, I think something that I've learned is that voice in your head can be as good or as bad as you want it to be, right?
Absolutely. And I'll take it back to my run today, actually. I was on the run today, and I was determined that I was going to clock my 5.5K run today. And I remember my husband and sister-in-law saying, look, just take it easy, you know, don't worry about it, just do your normal run that you normally do. And I thought, well, no, I'm going to go for it. And I thought, the more I say it, they're going to hold me back. So I didn't bother. I didn't tell them. I said, yeah, I'll continue. And I went for it. And a part of me during that run, I had this devil on one side telling me, just have a little break halfway. And on the other one, it was telling me, no, you've got this.
Yeah.
You have to choose to kind of ignore the devil one and go for the person that's telling you, okay, you've got this, you can do this.
And that's a really part in terms of your internal dialogue. It's about tuning in. And the thing that's made my internal dialogue a lot more positive is the amount that I read and I look at things. And that has a big impact on, you know, what you kind of put in your mind is where you're going to be.
Yeah.
And actually taking the ownership of saying, I'm in a bad place right now in terms of my mental health.
Yeah.
What am I going to do to get there?
Yeah.
And there's no shame in acknowledging that.
Yeah,
And doing something to make that better. You know, there's lots and lots of help out there that it is just about kind of acknowledging it, accepting it, and just, you know, moving towards that.
For sure.
A big part of being true to yourself and being the best version of you, I guess, is looking at the opportunities that are at hand. Now, nobody will ever hand you, you know, every opportunity and go, right, there you go, this is how you do it. You're going to be brilliant now.
Yeah.
You know, that's all that you need. It is all about recognising what is out there and actually having the guts to go, oh, it's a bit scary, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and in terms of what you did, from your business perspective, you had a smaller salon.
Yeah.
Everything was going great. You know, your smaller premises. It was really, you know, everything was ticking over. You had lots of staff, but it looked great.
But you know what? For me at that point, it wasn't a challenge anymore for me.
So what did you do?
I became complacent.
Yeah.
I got bored of it, you know, and that's when I was like, right, okay, I've got to move on. I've got to take this business to the next level. And so I did a lot of research, went to London, traveled to all these members clubs in London. I mean, there's some amazing ones, you know, across the world that I can't wait to visit at some point.
Can you take me?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Hopefully I should have one of my members clubs open in, you know, Mumbai is one of my goals actually. But yeah, so I just went for it. And I realized that I have to be challenged. If I'm not challenged, I'm just not passionate.
Okay, so you really recognise the opportunities that were out there. So you went from your little plain sailing, you know, very successful salon. You took a property on what 3-4 times the size?
Yeah,
or bigger?
Probably bigger. I'm not sure.
So you took on this huge site, and it looks incredible.
Thank you.
You know, if you've ever seen it, it's by the big Sainsbury's in Wolverhampton, and if you drive past it, you'll see it. You can't miss it. You know, it's something that's completely different. You recognised that there was an opportunity there.
For sure.
It's a scary one. But
It was a scary one. It was risky. And, you know, the beauty about the hair salon when we were at the smaller shop is we got to know people on a personal level and what they're into and what they like. So that was, I guess, our marketing, our sort of research that we were building mentally in our heads, you know, and we recognized that the type of clientele that we had, they like nice places, they like nice things, and they wanted to travel. They had to travel out to Birmingham or a bigger city, Manchester or London. They didn't have it on their doorstep. So we recognized that and we just went for it.
Fantastic. For me, I think the point of recognising the opportunities that are out there is, in terms of interior design, like I'd gone on a course. I went to the course and I realised I knew more than what was being taught, or it wasn't necessarily the right kind of course for me. So I thought, right, well, how can I make this work?
But that would have given you your confidence to say, actually, I can do this.
You're right, because that was the first, you know, that first step of recognising that opportunity. But then after that, I was like, right, okay, what can I do to be where I want to be? And so I started following a few people on Instagram that I thought were really, you know, really kind of had the same feel and vision that I wanted to. Got books, got magazines. I would just trawl the internet, look on Pinterest, kind of figure out what I was as a designer. And then went from there. I was really lucky because I happened to be on holiday visiting my sister, who was friends with a very well-known interior designer in Dubai. And I said to my sister, could you arrange a coffee? Is there any chance?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, you know, I'll ask her.
Yeah.
And she did. And this woman was incredible because part of, you know, her vision of giving back to people was developing other designers and, you know, bringing people in. She had a coffee with me. We had a 2-hour chat and it was just so inspiring.
I bet.
And all it showed me was the fact that if I didn't take that leap, if I didn't take that jump or just kind of go and, you know, thinking, oh, well, who am I? I don't even know anything. And this woman's incredible and she designs X, Y, and Z and her, you know, her work's brilliant. How am I going to be that? You know, what is she going to think of me? And I think once I'd kind of thought, well, she's going to see me as a woman on my journey. She's going to see somebody who's starting out. She started out somewhere.
Exactly.
I'm the same. And it was just kind of going, this is an opportunity. If I don't take it, I'll be a fool.
For sure. Like, for example, I would say, look, there's lots of information out there these days. And there's lots of information online, YouTube, And LinkedIn is a great one. So just like you did, you kind of got in touch with somebody, met them for a coffee, and not everyone's going to give you time, but the odd person that will, you will get inspired by them. But it will give you that confidence to allow you to then say, you know what, I can actually make a start. And as you start in any industry or whatever you wish to kind of, achieve, you learn by making those mistakes. And that's how you strengthen your confidence in delivering or whatever you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, you're very right. And I think part of that is accepting help from others. I mean, don't ever be too proud to accept help, right? And
remove egos. You've got to remove egos. Listen to people who have got more experience than you. For us, I will always take on people's opinions, but I pick and choose the one that I want to keep. And sometimes it sits in my subconscious. It's weird. And it'll help me make a decision about something. And sometimes I'm like, right, that was rubbish. That didn't really work. I mean, I'll never tell them that. But listening is a key skill that people need to learn. Because I think sometimes people will keep on talking about what they think that people should do rather than listening. But that's where you learn your kind of skills sometimes.
You're very right. I think, and a big part of that is, especially if you're on your journey, looking at how can I, if people are offering me help, I need to accept it. If that's whether that's somebody sort of saying, I can offer you an internship, or, I can offer you support, or let me do this for you, or, people aren't necessarily out to get you.
Yeah.
And I think changing your mindset to kind of go, okay, but then I'm at a place now where I'm trying to pay it back.
Yeah.
I've had so many incredible women and people help me along my journey. Yeah. I'm now at a place where I'm like, and I don't mean pay it back in terms of I'm going out and doing loads of charity work, etc., but it's more the fact that, verbally I pay it back in terms of, for an example, I was in a school and there was a student that came in. And she was sort of working with the children, and we were chatting, and I said, oh, what are you thinking of doing? And she said, oh, I'm going to do a teaching assistant course. And I said, do you know you've got a really strong skill set for a teacher? And she was like, oh no, I can never do that. I'm like, but why?
Yeah.
Oh no, but teachers do this and teachers do that. And what she'd done is she'd built teacher status up on a pedestal, and teachers do an incredible job, but she was taking away from herself. And for me, I recognised the fact that actually I could build her up to be something, and I could really kind of show her that, do you know what, you're more than this. And it was kind of, it was just a simple conversation. I said to her, well, did you ever notice, what you do there with those children, the way that you speak to them and the kind of questions that you use, they are beyond where you think you are. You've got so many opportunities, and it is just about sort of saying, what can I do to better the people around me? And it's part of who you've got in your circle, isn't it? Wouldn't you want to be that person that builds other people up, that develops other women, that, looks out for your friend and, is there in that solid person to say, you can rely on me. And it doesn't necessarily need to be financial or anything in terms of like favors or, but it's just the moral support and the.
Exactly. I hear you on that. I've got a stylist, Rukhshana, you probably know her.
Yes.
And she comes from humble beginnings, and probably, she set out to do hairdressing, and I'm sure her family weren't overly happy about her starting out in that as a career. They probably didn't see it as a career, but she's come a long way. I know she won Wire Awards, and I remember I was researching and I was looking at for new stylists when I started out for this new place. And when I came across her, I was like, oh my God, this girl's already won an award. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. And when I said to her, let's meet up. Let's have a chat. And she was already employed by somebody at the time. And I said to her, talk me through about your journey and whatnot. And at that point, she told me that it wasn't overly, her family didn't overly support her on the career, but now they do, because they have seen how much she's progressed. And I love how far she's come as a person, and it's so refreshing to see. And I just hope that girl one day will continue her drive that she has. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I want to support her. So again, it's not about giving something, it's just being around and just kind of you pushing the boundaries so that they're inspired by you sometimes.
I'm a huge advocate for other people doing well. Like, I love to see other women and other people achieve and to be the best of their ability and to do well. That for me is, a huge part of building our community, isn't it?
Yeah.
Our community is notorious for kind of talking about each other, and you get
Yeah.
lots of auntie on that,
Oh.
you know. But I think now it's that changing time where it's actually kind of going, yeah, let's support each other. And
Yeah.
instead of like talking about such and such's daughter, it's now a case of, did you see, she's really kind of doing so much and she's done incredibly well, and just kind of looking for all of aspects of that as well. The last but not least is ignoring the social media scoreboard. Harper, give me your thoughts on that one.
I use social media as a platform it's more like a something that I can just reflect back on. It's my kind of CV, if you like. I don't use it to kind of elevate myself to get so many followers, etc. That's not for me. I haven't got time for it. I'm not naturally, sort of that way inclined. I can't be on social media 24/7, but I will use it as a platform to allow people just to see kind of, my kind of achievements, achievements and vision to date. But what I will be on social media, and you'll probably vouch for me on this, is I will stay true to myself on social media, and I will talk about my burnout. I will talk about the struggles that I faced during my project, and I think that's important to me. I don't want to showcase a version of me that's not really true.
Because so many people, they just depict an extremely exaggerated version of their life on Facebook, on Instagram and Snapchat and everything else. Here's me having a brilliant time, and here's me in the flash car, and here's me doing this, and here's me doing that. I'm living my best life on holiday. What you're not seeing is the fact that, there's really down times. You're not seeing the mundane. You're not seeing the without makeup just sitting there. Or, like people... And I'm really careful about what I put on social media, because I don't ever want people to have that expectation that, oh, Shareen, she has a great life. And I remember a friend, and we had this conversation.
Yes, we did. I remember, yeah.
Because a friend of mine, she said, but what have you got to worry about? You've got such a great life.
Yeah,
I said, well, what do you mean? And she goes, I see your social media. You live in a lovely house, and you drive a nice car, and your kids are great, and your husband's great. What have you got to worry about? And I'd said, hun, you don't know the other side of my life. I have the same worries as you. I have the same concerns as you. There's things that keep me up at night. There's so many other aspects of my life that are not shared on social media, and you're not going to see that.
Yeah.
But don't fall into that trap.
I think that's a shame for those people who feel that's. I mean, to view someone, I would always know that if I look at someone's social media and it might appear perfect, let's face it, perfection doesn't exist. We've all got issues, and we've all got problems, and we've all got, things that we don't like to talk about sometimes, or don't want to show to the world, I guess. You're
completely right. And it can be really harmful in terms of looking at social media, because then you start to compare. You start to think, well, my life isn't like that, and I don't do that, and that isn't where I am right now. So, and because of that, I'm not as good, or I'm not doing it as well. Yeah, totally. I think, again, this is where I always have my blinkers on. I don't try and look up to anyone, or I don't try and kind of follow unrealistic people that I'm not them. I'm not trying to obtain that type of lifestyle. I focus on myself, and I think that's really important. It's a mental thing again, isn't it? So so would you say then, use your social media in a smart way where you're actually not hurting yourself? Yeah, for sure. Like, and be true to yourself. I think that's the biggest thing. It's just staying true to yourself. So we've had a message in, and it says, "Hi Shareen, it's a very interesting and inspiring show. Thank you very much. Sharing your own and Harper's experiences in a great way to inspire and empower women. I'm glad you've touched upon mental health, as I'm sure there's still a huge stigma attached to seeking help. And that's a huge part of our community, isn't it? Is actually being too afraid to say, I'm struggling. Yeah. What can I do? I mean, a lot of people won't talk about things like mental health issues, and I tend to wear my heart on my sleeve, and I will talk about my issues. And I've had major anxiety, especially throughout this project. I recently had a burnout, about that. And I will openly talk about it. I think it is important to talk about it, because that's only when people might actually be able to offer you a helping hand, I guess. But if you don't, people sometimes will overlook that. And you build it up in your head sometimes, or inside you, and that's worse. So it is very, very important to talk about it, even if it's just one person. If it's not a family or a friend, maybe seek counselling or a mentor, or anyone that can just kind of guide you a bit. And there's so many avenues now of people that actually understand and are from a similar situation. And, you know, I've recently seen things on social media and about girls that have grown up in a similar situation, immigrant parents, you know, where there's so many different things that, you know, you not burden yourself with, but are part of your makeup in terms of, you know, you worry about community, you worry about people saying things, you worry about, oh, I don't want to let my parents down, and, you know, they've done so much and they've sacrificed so much, and I don't want them to think that I'm ungrateful, and doing all of those and kind of understanding all that aspect of you. So yeah, I think you're completely right. Don't ever be afraid to seek help, to kind of go out there and try and say, I'm not coping, what can I do? And there are ways of doing that, you know, where if you don't want to do it publicly, that, you know, privately you can seek help. And then last but not least, I know there's loads of things in terms of being true to yourself, but this one I really like. Celebrate the small wins.
Yes, I actually, you know what, I'm going to take you back to that. And I remember when we first opened the project, our venue, you actually said congratulations to me and well done. You know, you should be proud of what you've achieved. At that point, I didn't see it that way.
You said, no, I haven't done this yet.
Yeah. And sometimes time will pass you by and you're like, oh, we didn't celebrate that. I don't think we've ever celebrated our brand as such. And it's coming up to 5 years. So in October. And I actually said to my partner, and I said, we have to celebrate this year. We have to throw a party. We have to make sure we celebrate the birth of Val and Val. Because there's so many times where I've been like, oh, we'll just wait till we, you know, till we actually, you know, made it. And I think it is important. I remember you kind of saying, you know, just take a step back and just enjoy it for a second. And at the time I just couldn't, but I wish I did at the time.
But it's I think appreciating what you're doing in the present to give you the motivation to just keep making strides towards your ultimate goals, isn't it? That's when you're celebrating your wins. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, go out and buy yourself something, but it's about kind of stepping back, reflecting on yourself and going, I did that. That's me. That's my hard work. That's my, you know, that's my effort. That's my attitude. That's my not giving up. That's me keeping going. That's me.
Do you know what? I think since this lockdown is the only time I've actually taken time out to reflect on everything that I've done over the years. So I think this time has been great just to kind of reflect back on you know, your life.
We've had a message in and this person has said that she's really inspired by the show, and she feels as though a lot of what we're touching on is so important in terms of finding groups of like-minded women and like-minded individuals. Sadly, we're coming up towards the end of this show. I'd like to thank Harper, who has joined me today for our conversation about being the best version of yourself. I really enjoyed our chat.
Me too. Thank you so much. I was really nervous to come on this show, and I remember you saying, you'll be fine. And I'm really glad I did. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. We look forward to catching up with you, listeners, next week, where we will be continuing to talk about empowering